You've probably heard that protein is great for building muscle, but did you also know that it's one of the most powerful tools for losing fat? I'm Dr. Mark, I have a PhD in human nutrition and I've worked with over 2,000 fat loss clients. And in today's video, I'll break down the top 5 reasons why protein is essential for fat loss, plus the best foods to include in your diet to hit your goals faster. Let's dive in with reason number 1, increased satiety. If you're trying to lose fat, you're probably keeping a close eye of your calories and how much food you're taking in. Maybe even cutting carbs or fats. But let's be honest, one of the toughest aspects of dieting is keeping your hunger in check. It's a huge challenge for many people that want to start and stay on a weight loss plan. In fact, a lot of my nutrition clients, before they start working with me, tell me the same thing. They've tried different diets and they've seen some results, but they have a hard time sticking with it, or they just fall off completely off track because they're constantly hungry, or they just get bored with what they're eating. This is where protein really steps in and saves the day. Not only does protein keep you fuller for longer because it takes longer to digest than carbohydrates or fat, but it can also influence your hormones, reducing the production of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. It's the one that makes you hungry. Research has also shown that high protein meals trigger the release of a hormone called peptide YY that tells your brain that you're full. So protein isn't just about satisfying your hunger in the moment, it also keeps you fuller for longer, keeping those midday cravings in check while also regulating your blood sugar, which is what usually leads to your energy levels crashing and maybe reaching for some sort of snack that isn't as healthy. And maybe you experience protein's power to squash hunger already in your own life. Think about it this way. Have you ever had one of those breakfasts where you loaded up on Greek yogurt and eggs and bacon? You probably feel full and satisfied for hours, and that one meal could keep you satisfied all the way until dinner. The flip side is when you grab something that's quick and convenient and easy and full of carbs, like just cereal or toast or a bagel, something that's higher in carbohydrate and not much of anything else. That's one of those things where you eat and you could feel hungry almost instantly. Maybe it'll give you a little energy right off the bat, but that won't last long and you'll be looking for a snack. So if you're struggling to stay on track with your diet because of hunger, increasing your protein might be exactly what you need. Not only will it help you feel fuller for longer, it will also help you stick to your plan for longer, which will help you see better results in the long term. Now, before we get on to point 2, you may be wondering, well, how much protein should I be eating? In general, you want to be eating between 0.7 to 1.0 grams of protein per pound of body weight, or around 1.5 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh around 150 pounds, your protein intake should be within the range of 100 grams to 150 grams per day. Now, if you're totally new to tracking your nutrition or eating higher levels of protein, I would recommend that you start on the lower end of that range and then start to increase your protein intake week by week by around 10 to 20 grams, moving to the higher end of that optimal range. Now that you know how much protein is recommended and what it does for your satiety and fullness and cravings, let's move on to point number 2, which is going to be muscle gain or maintenance. This is protein's claim to fame, and for good reason. It helps you recover and repair muscle that you damaged during the training process, which leads to better gains in the gym. But also when it comes to fat loss, keeping the muscle that you already have. And we'll explain that a little bit more later. Even if your goal isn't to get super muscular, building some muscle, or at least maintaining the muscle that you already have, is a big deal for fat loss. Let me break this down. When you're dieting and intentionally trying to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, which means you're taking in less energy than you're burning. This is the foundation of fat loss. You can't get around it. In order to lose actual fat tissue, you need to have this in place. But here's the deal. When you do this and you have this in place, your body just doesn't automatically tap into fat. It's also gonna break down some muscle for energy as well to make up that difference. And although we'd love that difference to be made up just from our stored fat, our body doesn't always do that, especially if we're not eating enough protein. Your body could also start to break down muscle tissue to make up that energy balance if the deficit is too large or if you're not eating enough protein. And this is important for 2 reasons. Losing muscle also means losing that toned, athletic, or fit look most people are looking for. I'm assuming if you're wanting to lose weight, you don't just want to be a smaller version of yourself. You're probably envisioning yourself looking toned and lean and fit. And you only get that look by having enough muscle mass and being lean enough to see that muscle. The second thing is that having more muscle mass is important. It allows you to perform exercise, it allows you to burn more calories through increasing your metabolism. it's important to have around. It's not just bad weight. And if your muscle mass takes too much of a hit, it could mean that you're burning less calories at rest, making it even more difficult to reach your fat loss goals. Now, there is a better way to maintain more muscle while being on a fat loss diet, and that means eating more protein. Taking more protein in helps you maintain your muscle mass because it's going to support protein synthesis, which is going to be the making of new proteins while repairing after training and exercise. And even if you're consuming fewer calories on a diet, making sure that you're getting adequate protein from the food that you are eating ensures that your body has the proper amount and type of amino acids to rebuild the muscle that it's breaking down. This is really important, especially when it comes to strength training, which you should be doing. Eating enough protein helps you preserve the lean body mass that you build up during that process. Okay, now let's move on to point number 3, which is that it increases your metabolism. Believe it or not, eating more protein can actually help you burn more calories without any extra work. How cool is that? Having more muscle mass means you're burning more calories, even if you're just lounging around. You may have heard of the component of your metabolism called the basal metabolic rate, or your BMR. It's the amount of energy that's required to keep your heart beating and keep you breathing and your organs functioning, even if you were to stay in bed all day and not move at all. And as you can see on this graphic on the screen, your BMR consists of a large component of your metabolism, nearly 60 to 70%. Now, you can't drastically change your BMR because it's going to be influenced by things like your age, your height, and your biological sex. But you can boost it by carrying more muscle mass. And this is because muscle mass is more metabolically active than fat, so you burn more calories just by having more of it. On average, muscle burns around 6 to 10 calories per pound per day, while fat burns around 2 to 3 calories per pound. So if you have an additional 10 pounds of muscle mass, that could mean that you're burning an additional 60 to 100 calories per day. That may seem like a small difference, but over time, that small difference really does add up. This long-term increase in your BMR is going to make fat loss easier, as well as your results easier to maintain. Additionally, protein also has the highest thermic effect of food, which means you burn more calories digesting and absorbing protein than you do carbohydrates and fat. So by eating more protein, not only are you supporting muscle growth and muscle maintenance, but you're also increasing your metabolism just by eating it through that thermic effect. This impact on muscle is very important, which is also why I recommend my clients do strength training. It helps your muscles grow and makes the most of the protein that you're consuming while on a fat loss diet, further boosting your BMR and supporting your fat loss journey. Which leads us to point 4 of why you should be eating more protein. It supports calorie balance. Okay, so we've talked a lot about how protein supports fat loss through boosting your metabolism, keeping you fuller for longer, and more. But here's another reason why protein is so effective. Eating more protein allows you to stay in a calorie deficit while allowing you to eat more food, especially when you're picking the right food sources. In general, high protein foods tend to be lower in calories, especially when you're being mindful of the level of leanness and how much fat they contain, and especially when you compare them to other foods with similar calories, and especially when you factor in how filling they can be when compared to other foods that just have carbohydrates or fat. For example, around 100 grams of cooked chicken breast is going to be around 165 calories with around 30 grams of protein. This level of protein with not a lot of volume is going to allow you to eat more food while keeping your calories in check and keeping you full and satisfied. We also need to keep in mind that higher thermic effect of food. You're gonna burn more calories digesting protein than you will carbs or fat. So eating more protein is gonna give your metabolism that boost and make it easier to stay in a deficit. However, not all protein is created equal. Not all sources are gonna be the same. Some protein sources are gonna come with a lot of additional fat or extra carbs, which can really add up in calories, making it harder to stay in a deficit. So when choosing protein sources, you wanna choose those that are leaner, meaning they don't have much fat accompanying them, or foods that are mainly protein and not much carbohydrate. These are going to include foods like chicken and turkey breast, Greek yogurt, egg whites, white fish, lentils, beans, and sometimes even protein powder. Now, for a complete list of lean protein foods and all the protein foods that I recommend to my fat loss clients. You can download my free fat loss grocery list at the first link in the description below. Many of my weight loss clients are surprised by how much food they can eat, how good the results are, and how they don't feel hungry at all. And this all comes down to making sure that they're eating enough protein. Now let's move on to our last reason you should be eating more protein, and that's number 5, recovery. Proper recovery is the cornerstone of good health, but also essential for fat loss. While it might not sound like the most exciting fat loss strategy, staying well rested and well recovered can make a huge difference on how well your body burns fat, and protein plays a big role in that. Now, if you're losing weight, you're probably already hitting the gym, and it doesn't matter if you're doing strength training or cardio or a mixture of both. The process of exercise is gonna break down some muscle fibers, and protein is gonna help you repair them or build them back up. They're gonna grow stronger through a process called protein synthesis. This process not only helps you build new muscle mass, but it's also essential for fat loss. And here's why. Muscle repair requires energy, and the more protein you provide, the more you're gonna be able to repair that muscle. The extra energy needed to repair muscle tissue is gonna contribute to your overall calorie burn, even after you've finished your workout, and that's gonna go a long way in helping you lose fat. And that's it, folks. Those are the 5 main reasons that you should be eating more protein, especially if you wanna lose fat. Now, as great as all those tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'm gonna have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. Today, we learned all about why you need to be eating more protein. In this video, I'm gonna show you the best high protein foods to eat in a calorie deficit. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.